Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my September TBR. I can't believe it's already September. I've got some books on here that I'm feeling like are very fallish. September is prime fall weather in Canada. It's not too cold yet. The days are still nice and warm, but the trees are starting to fall and it's got like a nice crisp in the air. So I'm so excited for September. I always forget that September is one of my favorite months until it comes and I'm just like, yeah, I could live in this weather all year round. Yeah. So I've got some books that are sort of fallish and then some that are just on my TBR because I want to read them. So without further ado, let's hop into the video. Okay, so the first couple books are the books in the Miles family series. I started these actually last fall because they felt the first cover is very fall. But I haven't really picked up the series because the second one I didn't love, even though it was Brother's Best Friend, which is one of my favorite tropes, and I didn't love it. So I haven't come back to this series in a while. So I'm really excited. I really want to finish this series off. So I want to read Reckless Miles, which I think is it's the brother from the second book. Like it's his book, the one that's like whose best friend started dating his sister. So I'm very excited about this one. I remember really liking him in the other books, so I'm excited that I finally get to read his. Then Hidden Miles, which is I think a scarred hero one, and it's sort of he was in the war and he comes back really like quiet and isn't really talking to his family. I haven't read a ton of Scarred Hero books, so I'm excited about that. And then lastly, it's Gaining Miles, which is, I think, the mom's book. If you've read the first book, you know what is happening with the mom. I don't want to spoil it because it is kind of a big plot point in the first book, so I won't spoil it, but it is the mom's book, I'm pretty sure. And it's like novella length, so it'll be fairly short. Okay, the next series that I want to read, I actually have a lot of Devney Perry books on this list just because Devney Perry's books kind of feel like fall to me. They're all like small town romantic suspense books and that just like feels like fall. So I firstly want to finish the Mason Jar series. So there's Letters to Molly, which is a marriage in trouble book, and I'm really excited about this one. I really liked the first book and people said this one is even better, so I'm very excited about it. It's best friend's brother as well because in the first book it follows female main character's best friend and her brother whose marriage is in trouble, so I'm very excited about it. I've heard really good things. I'm very, very excited about it. And then the novella book in that series came out. I think it's called the Dandelion Diary, and I don't know anything about this book. I honestly have no idea who it follows or anything like that. I just know it's part of that series, and I've heard good things about the book because even though it's a novella, I've heard that it's just as good as the other two books that are full-length books, and that I think only came out in July, I want to say, so it's fairly recent release. Yeah, so I don't really know much about it, but I'm sure it'll be great. And then I've got almost the entirety of the Jameson Valley series. Again, I started these last fall and just never picked them back up. I didn't love the first one, but these covers are absolutely gorgeous. So we've got the second book is The Clover Chapel, which actually the Clover Chapel shows up in Jasper Vale in the Eden series. So I was like, so after I read that, I really wanted to pick this one up. And then there's The Lucky Heart. I don't know anything about this one, but I feel like I've seen people say this one is their favorite. I think it might be A Second Chance. Then there's The Outpost. Again, don't know what this one, I don't know what any of these ones are really about anymore. I knew them when I picked them up, but I don't remember anymore. And then The Bittersweet Inn. And lastly is The Candle Palace, which is like a novella length book. I'm excited to dive back into that, and then I'll have read a bunch more of Devney Perry's backlist, which will be great because I always really like her books. I just love I love her romantic suspense elements. Okay, and the next book that I want to read is Colty by Mariana Zapata. I read The Wall of Winnipeg and Me last month, I think it was, and I just forgot how much I like Mariana Zapata's books. I just find them really like fun reads. They're not as good as as I would have liked. I think they would have been really good beginner romances to get into, but I really want to read her entire backlist because I do genuinely like them all. I just haven't found one that I'm absolutely in love with except for All Roads Lead Here. That's the only one that I really remember being absolutely in love with. So I'm gonna read another one of her backlist. I'm gonna read Culty, which I think is Stalker, and I think it's like enemies to lovers. I always love a good enemies to lovers trope. So okay, and then I want to read the Dreamland Billionaire series. I didn't get to this last month. It was on my TBR last month, but I didn't get to it, and I do really want to read it. I only have the first two on here. So the first one is, I think these are both like, I think the first one is very much Disney vibes. I don't know if the second one or if the whole series follows it, but I saw a TikTok recently that I had no idea that these were like supposed to be like Disney at all. I had no idea. I'm interested to see that. I don't know if it's just the first one or if it's a whole series, but yeah, I've heard really good things about the second one. I've heard the second one's even better, and then the third one's even better than those two, but I'm only gonna put the first two on here, so hopefully I get to them. The audiobooks are on Scribd, so I really want to get to them this month. Another book that was on my TBR last month but I didn't quite get to is Beyond the Veil by Carolyn Peckham and Suzanne Valenti. This is the 8.5 book in the Zodiac Academy series. Although it is like a full-length book, it's over 400 pages, so it's basically a full-length book. I have really missed the characters from Zodiac Academy, and I'm really excited to just like see them again and sort of refresh my mind of the world before the 9th one comes out. I don't think there's a date yet for the 9th one, but I'm highly anticipating it, and the last two came out near the end of the year, so I'm hoping that it'll come out around December again, and so I just want to refresh around the world and just be back with the characters. I miss them. And then I've got A Deal with the Devil by Elizabeth ORourke. This is the first book in the Devil series. I've heard really good things about this series, although they do kind of feel like summary books. I don't know, I've been seeing a lot of people read them lately, and I saw that the first one is on Scribd, so I was like, yeah, I want to read it. I want to see what the hype's about. And I've also Elizabeth ORourke is coming out with a second book in another series, so I kind of just want to feel for her writing style to see if I would like it, because I've heard that series is very angsty and it's got some like brother's best friend and stuff in it. So if I do like this book, maybe I'll start the other series. The next book that I want to read is Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. I don't typically read Colleen Hoover anymore, but she's one of those authors that I have read for like ever. Like I was reading her books in middle school and stuff like that. But I don't think I've read Ugly Love, because although I don't know if I love her writing style anymore, I still want to pick it up because I want to get through the physical copies on my shelf, and this one is Brother's Best Friend from what I remember. Yeah, I don't have like super high expectations going into this, but I'm still intrigued. The next book on my TBR is Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. This is the first book in the Legendborn series. This is a YA sort of magical book, and I have had this book on my TBR for so long, but it does feel very fall. It's like fantasy, magic, things like that. So to me, it feels very fall. And because it's YA, I feel like it'll probably be a fairly easy read. The second one came out, I think, around this time last year, so there is like a series now for me to continue. I put this book on my Kobo so long ago, so I really do want to finally get to it. I've heard really, really good things. Like I honestly don't think I've heard any bad reviews about this book, so hopefully I get to it and hopefully I love it. Okay, the next book that I want to read is Mile High by Liz Tomford. This is the first book in the Windy City series. I know that people say that this book is nowhere near as good as The Right Move, but this one I think is a hockey romance, whereas I think The Right Move is not. I don't remember what sport it is, but I feel like it's not a hockey romance. And for some reason, like September specifically, I'm really in a hockey mood. Actually, I know exactly why it is. It's because that's when our like fantasy league and stuff starts. I don't know if I ever really talked about it, but I am in a fantasy hockey league with a bunch of guys, my boyfriend and all of his friends. So I always get very competitive in that league because I'm the only girl, so I want to like prove myself. And also I just find it, I have a lot of fun with it because I like to like look at the stats, and I know that doesn't always mean like you're gonna have the best team, but it's just that it's just a lot of fun for me. So September always I get into like really hockey mood because that's when the draft is and everything. So I think another hockey romance on this as well, just because I'm in the mood for read hockeys. I've also heard just like good things about this series in general, so I'm excited about it. Okay, and then I have the second Heartstopper on my TBR. I read the first one and I loved it, and then I saw that, and I for some reason just never picked up the rest of the books in the series. I actually just went out and bought them right after I finished the first one because I loved it so much, but I just still have never picked up the rest of the books. And I think the second season of Heartstopper Netflix adaptation is coming out soon, so I want to continue the series so that I can actually watch the show and I won't hopefully be getting spoilers. So I want to pick this one up. It'll be a really quick read once I do pick it up, I know, and I probably will pick up the third and fourth one once I do, but I've only got the second one on for now. And the last book on my TBR is Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. This is the first book in the Maple Hills series. I think the second book in this series is coming out next month. I think it's in October it's coming out. And everyone and their mother had read Icebreaker last year. Like, everyone was obsessed with it, and I just never picked it up. Now that I'm in my hockey mood, I really want to pick it up and see if I will even want to read the second book. So I'm very excited to finally be picking up this series, hopefully. I say that, and I think I only got to like 5 books on my TBR last month, so hopefully I'll be better at sticking to my TBR this month. And those are all the books on my TBR for the month. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please let me know in the comments what is one book that you are definitely going to be reading this month. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Give this video a thumbs up. It really helps support my channel, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.